Hey you guys, it is December 22nd, so it is the shortest day of the year, but it is a beautiful sunny day here in Houston, and I'm going to take you on a tour of the garden and catch you guys up on some of these changes. I apologize for the glare, it's because the sun is so low in the sky this time of year. So we have plenty of freeze out stuff, but nothing major damage, just expected things being damaged. You can see a lot of regrowth. I think I did a video on this blueberry when it was like a nothing free blueberry that had been damaged down to a little stub, and to see it come back so strong is pretty cool. It probably could use some more light, the pine tree above and everything. More blueberries. I saw blueberries in bloom, so here we go. There's, I don't know if you can see that. This is actually fruit set. So there's a bloom down underneath, but like, talk about a crazy, it was because we had a really warm, like 2 weeks in a row, but that's all fruit set on blueberries that are about to lose their leaves because of the cold. It's a very weird winter because it got just so warm for so long. It even made the peach tree go off, and this is like more, sometimes it does like a partial bloom, but this was like pretty much a legit bloom. It really thought spring was here, and so there's there's a lot for the bees, which was nice, but there's also fruit set. So this is just the interesting thing. Like here's some peaches. This is legit fruit set peaches, and actually it'd be cool if the fruit set is really light, because it just means they'll be bigger and finish faster. But I see peaches at the end of these flower clusters, and like I said, we're in December, so to have peaches like that, and it's not even the new year. So I'm about to spread all these leaves this direction. I'm doing some digging. A big change over here, I gotta jump off the path, is that I took out a persimmon tree. It was an Izu, and there was nothing wrong with it. I just wanted the space for something else. Izu was a dwarf tree, so I kind of worried that it would get overrun, swamped out, but I needed this space essentially to create some drainage, to pull water out of their yard into my garden. I didn't want it bogging up against the fence, so I'm gonna have a nice deep ditch. And the main reason though is to prep a spot for another avocado. So if you see that mound right here behind this erythrina, which is probably coming out, this erythrina christogali, so I'm thinking about phasing out this nectarine, because the nectarines just get eaten by bugs. I've never gotten one. I don't think I would unless I used pesticides. So phasing out the nectarine to put in another avocado. The fig is going to essentially just be understory. It was a stick stuck in the ground, unimportant, but I am either going to dig out that nectarine or just cut it out, phase it out, so that I can establish an avocado here, and then the ditch is going to just travel and connect to that ditch, so that it can pull water away and just transfer water all across the site. So that's the big change over here with some digging, but I have all the leaves so that I can cover it all up, because it's already a little thin on mulch, like you can see on the slope there and in pockets. So just to remulch it for the winter, have a good coverage. The bananas have not been frozen so hard that they aren't going to come back out strong. Here's other blueberry that's doing well, getting sun at least. The figs were hit by both freezes, which is kind of, it got so warm they were actively growing. So if you see on the tips there, all the dead leaves, not enough to really do some harm. Like all the stems are still fine, but it takes energy away from the figs when that happens. What else? Big change, just a lot more open. Leaves are dropping and everything. You can see this guy was damaged from drying out. He's recovered nicely. Still more recovery to do, but coming back strong. And just, look how open it is under here and back that way. Let's see. Here's the avocado. It also got some freeze damage on the tips, and this was a really light freeze. Let me see if I can. So there's new growth undamaged, but I think I saw a few. So here, this was like super tender growth, right when that, we got down to 30, 31, and that was enough because it was really young and tender, but that's like no big deal. It'll be right out of it, growing again. All right, so over here, feel it? It's open, it's winter, it's a different energy. I did not harvest the moringa, so you see the big arches. It got frozen out back in November, and the leaves are still good for like 3 or 4 days. They kind of get freeze dried, and I just did not have the time. So all that energy is kind of a wash. I'm definitely seeing a need for this path to shift, allow that pineapple guava. I'm going to push it up a little bit, but also, you know, shift the path to the right. So we're going right in between off of there, which means that this apple tree that never really, you know, performed, it had issues. You see it's leaning, it's just shaded out by other things, but mainly just didn't have good root structure. That might get phased out so I can run the path here. But the roses liked the the warm winter weather. So Dudley Cross, Miss Dudley Cross is doing well. The falsa, this is from the second freeze now. So this was actually green just a week ago. After the November freeze, it kind of got a little tip damage and then grew right back. But now this is more damage. And this is a plant that definitely needs to be phased out. Is not doing much. So this area's got some changes coming in as well. I've got the grapes that are did not do as much as I expected, you know, but they're up and about. A couple new muscadines on this post and that post. Got some satsumas off here. Actually, the possums or rats actually preferred this satsuma for some reason. Here's more nice fall color on the blueberries. That's a really, I mean, man, if they could be in the landscape, right? But just excited that the trees are a little more sturdy. Over here on the moringa, this one, you can see, so that one got frozen harder for some reason, but this is regrowth since the November freeze. So it had the first freeze that just like, you know, took out the top, knocked all the leaves, and it was undamaged on these thicker trunk pieces. It's growing out again, and then it got frozen again. But these are light freezes. There's undamaged stuff on cassava up high, and there's buds that are latent in here that'll just pop right back out. So I'm not cutting them to the ground and then protecting trunks because the freezes were lighter, and I was kind of using this year for information and feedback, and it was cool to see. So if I get a forecast though in the 20s, then I definitely would just cut them off and try and cover everything just to protect some more trunk, so I don't have to restart from a really low point, a root or something. And I still have not dug up the seedling persimmons, and they need some transplanting. The loofah was another one. I don't know if I talked about it, I forget. So the November freeze was a big bummer for the loofah harvest. It was just so early, there was not very much that was finished. So essentially the vine froze that was up in the top of this ash and over in that oak. It froze back in November, and so there were a couple that were far enough to ripen, but a lot of them, like you see the shriveling up in those loofah and that ones that are still green, there's not going to be much structure to the fibers, so I left them up because of that. But a big change to anticipate is that this ash tree is going to come out this spring, cut out completely to allow this avocado. He's ready for more light, as long as it makes it through winter well, allow that avocado to really jump and make room for other things. And the chickens are out and about, getting into the garden. So yeah, mainly it's just a great year for citrus, getting to feel the changes, like the size of this pineapple guava. Next plan is to take down this blueberry and transplant it so the jewel blueberry plant can go someplace else, but just take this down and allow things to breathe a little bit. There's always big adjustments, and probably I shouldn't talk about them, I should just document them when I do them. I made a big cut on this persimmon, so you see it's just beautiful and symmetrical now. This is a native persimmon that I was like you know, thought it might have been male, but it finally made a few fruit this year. And it had a really tight crotch angle and split and everything. And this is a big cut. But I just went ahead and did it because I did not like the idea of it, you know, being so tight. And yeah, so we're gonna see how it heals essentially. There's the line goes all the way down to here, essentially where this branch starts. And this was like the original branch, and this was that, you know, sucker growth that had that nice straight vigor. But it's so symmetrical now. It's got some good balance. You know, it obviously doesn't have as many branches on the other side, so it's a little off balance, but that I think it can compensate really well. And it's got, that branch is already grafted with Ichikiki Jiro, and so I might try and graft a few other branches and see how they take. I've got peas. This has been hard for me with the chickens being out so much, but you can see I pushed the seed down into the thicket. They got, you know, all the pepper vine and other stuff covering it up, so it's pretty cool. I'm gonna get a few sugar snap peas. And these are also, I mean, the other cool thing is it's totally unirrigated. Like, I never brought any water here, and we've had some dry spells through this winter. Let's see what else. That's all persimmon branches. Another big thing, I don't know if it can pick it up, is I ran a fishing line over this half of the garden because, very unfortunately, we lost one of the ducks about 3 days ago. The main adjustment is just running, you know, fishing line up at about 12-15 feet. It's up in, it goes from that willow tree to the persimmon tree to the pine tree back over my head over here. So it's like a big triangle that you really can't see, but hopefully helps protect them a little bit. Anyway, I was coming over here because this blueberry is doing well. It has some major branch dieback, you know, like losing major limbs, and responded well to some watering. Got blood oranges still on the tree. I had the little pawpaws back there that are essentially twigs without leaves, but they're doing fine, so I'll keep you updated on that. And the pond's been staying full for a while, even though we're, you know, really low on rain for the last few weeks. It's starting to get a green color for sure from all the ducks. So the ducks have been, I mean, they just decimate. I had water lilies and everything, but once the ducks really took the pond as their own, they spend so much time in here. You know, go back and forth. They have a nice little cover thicket over there, and they have a nice cover thicket under the Baccharis, and they just spend a lot of time in here, but it's starting to get that duck pond color of green. But yeah, Abby was killed over here. We can go over here. On the way, I want to appreciate, look at this fruit set. So the loquat's been blooming really hard the last few weeks. You can see a lot of bloom there. And the bees have been all over it. There are flies all over it. So a lot of nectar and a lot of fruit set. Here's a bee right in front. I don't know if you can see her. But yeah, so a good way to keep the bees going, because of this warm weather, it's not like they're slowing down much. But good thing I have a bunch of loquat around here. So Abby was killed in this area, and you can see it's kind of, you know, thickety. I imagine she might have been, you know, up here and just chased into something and then got stuck. But yeah, pretty sad and disappointing to lose a bird, and I know George and all the other ducks were feeling it. A little bit of freeze damage on the giant bamboos. So I see these really new canes, you know, the larger shoots, just came out at the wrong time of year. But all of this undergrowth, well, superficial damage here, but on the interior there's still a lot of green photosynthesizing leaves. And so I think we're gonna, as long as we make it through the rest of the winter, will be a net gain on growth wise for the big bamboos. All right, over here, finally turned this bed over sometime since the last video. Just threw down lettuce seed and kohlrabi seed this year. So this is just filling in all the holes with compost from the chicken run, throwing down the seed right before a big rain, and then I think I've watered it 2 times since. I really don't like watering it, but because it's composty and we had some long dry spells, like we've been 10 days without rain, I've had to water it a few times. There's some superficial damage if you get down here close from the last freeze that you can see on some of the leaves. So we got pretty chilly here, enough to, and it hit the kohlrabi harder right here. But we've been cold enough to damage lettuce, so that was a legit freeze. Over here in the coop, the big change is this flat board for helping Piper to get up better. So still making adjustments and hoping that she learned it and doing better. The birds are all sleeping together well. The little birds and big birds sometimes mix, but it's getting very crowded at night because the little birds are so much bigger. And somebody is working hard on an egg. What do you say, Miss Annie? You're gonna make us a nice blue egg? This might be the most beautiful day of the year. Everybody's ready for a treat. You ready? Hey, Miss Classy. Hey, you guys. Hey, Daisy. You ready for a treat? Hey, Fern. Hey, ducks. You want to get in here? The eggplant grafts all froze out. Even the turkeyberry froze out. The bees here doing well on this warm sunny day. I don't know if I approve of this entrance here, especially if they start chewing. But that's because I buy cheap boxes that have too big of a gap. That's what it's all about. I do not think there's too much to see on this side. Mulberry grafting. I collected a lot of perilla seed, shiso seed, but a ton of it has fallen because that's empty, almost empty. So there'll be a lot popping up again next year. But yeah, this side doesn't get as much chicken pressure and much changes. I've been working on moving the compost out of here to a different zone, kind of reworking my compost system. Strawberry guava got damaged at 30 degrees, but this was new growth, so I think that the trees are actually going to be a lot, tougher for it if we get just a consistent winter. I mean, yeah, there's new growth damage from before, but they've been through 2 freezes, so they're starting to learn our system, and there's the 2 there for pollination. I planted a ton of narcissus and other cool season bulbs, so we got some daffodils coming up. Got just monster avocado tree going. More kumquats. So you can see there's narcissus and narcissus. I kind of want to fill the garden, and it's really cool that the chickens have essentially been leaving them alone. So lots of daffodils, and they were all rescues from a big old construction project where an old house was getting torn out, and I got permission to come in and just save them. And these were clumps. You know how narcissus go, or paperwhites go around here, as they just expand and expand. So these were clumps where I was digging up 20 bulbs with one clump. But anyway, more changshu, hoping for a mild winter because I really want to see it be a monster tree, like a tall one. There's more paperwhites down there. But yeah, I mean, we're getting halfway. I'm hopeful. This is pretty cool as far as cold tolerance. I think there's a little superficial damage, but we got down to 30-ish, and so cherimoya undamaged because of the oak canopy up above, a little microclimate. Already got to eat the first fruiting, so this is the second. It was basically the first ones that were ripe last month was a really early flowering, and then this is more of the standard flowering. So definitely need to prune out that oak tree. I probably said that already. Got to keep track of everything I document. But yeah, I think that's about it. I hear a chicken straight ahead, and I haven't done much in this area other than fight that Malabar spinach to keep it off of the apple tree, off of the citrus tree. It's kind of a double-edged Malabar, good or bad. Here's some ladies. Say, hey, McCania. All right, you guys, I think this is a good enough spot to end it. Hope you guys enjoyed getting to see the garden and all of the changes since last month. I apologize for not making more videos. Just you know, dealing with life changes and energy and all that. But I'm excited to share it with you now, and I hope to catch you next time. Peace.